Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a companion video. What is a companion video? Well, I'm glad that you asked. To see every day on the John Campea Show from Monday through Friday, we save a little time and take some live questions. However, we don't always have time to get around to all of the live questions that get sent in. So I want to make sure those questions get answered on a video. So I gather up those unused questions, we bring them here and address them on companion videos. So without wasting any time, let's dive right into it. And we'll get things started today with Dimsum05, who writes, I got mad when I saw Avi Ard with an Oscar. Oh man, don't be mad. Don't be salty about it. Yeah, Avi Ard's done some questionable things, but he's also done a bunch of things for the comic book genre. He has, and Kevin Feige's even studied under him and attributes some of his success to Avi Ard. So, hey, just feel good for the guy. Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse 1, I'm happy for him. All right, Dimsum05 also follows up with, Black Panther and Infinity War would have won if Feige wore his cap. Yeah, because Avi Ard was wearing his Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse cap. If only Kevin Feige, because the camera was on him a couple of times in the Oscars, if only Kevin Feige had had his cap on, maybe they would have won more awards. All right, Mike Thompson writes, Han dies and the Fast and Furious movie starts making $1 billion at the box office. Coincidence? I think not. Also, happy birthday, John. Well, thank you so much, Mike, and it is my birthday here on Tuesday, so thank you for that, Mike. And yeah, man, I wish Rob was here right now to hear that sound logic you just laid out. They kill off Han. The movies start making billions of dollars. Hashtag Han had it coming. Thank you for your thoughts, Mike. I appreciate that. All right, Dimsum05 follows up with, Avi wore his Spider-Man beanie, and exactly, man, that's exactly what we were just saying. Avi wore his Spider-Man beanie, and look what happened. Mike Noir writes, these outrage culture agenda-driven YouTube channels are trying to do here what they've done to the Star Wars fandom. When will it end? Guys, what if they succeed in tarnishing the MCU and the community? Well, look, to be fair, no, I do not believe even these channels that are perpetuating the lies and stuff like that, they're not trying to destroy fan communities. That's not what they're doing. I think more look, hate clicks are easy to get. They're very, very easy to get, and you get addicted to hate clicks. And if you look at a lot of these channels, the hate videos are the ones that get the most views, so they're going to make more of them. I don't think anybody's intention is to destroy fan communities. I don't think that's their intention at all. To be fair to them, I don't think that's intention. I think they don't care if they do, but I do not believe that is their intention. So I think any accusation that they are deliberately trying to undermine the fan community, I don't think that's true. I happen to just personally believe, though, that if in the pursuit of getting hate clicks, that one of the repercussions is they cause damage to the fan community, I don't think they care, but I do not believe that is their intention. I just believe their intention is to make videos that get views. And I mean, that's why a lot of people make YouTube videos, right? So I wouldn't go so far as to say that they are deliberately trying to damage the fan community. I don't think they're deliberately trying to damage the online community. I don't think that. I just think that they're either oblivious or just don't care that the type of stuff they're doing is damaging to the fan community. But I don't think it's what their intention. I don't think they woke up in the morning and said, oh, what can we do to hurt the fan community? I don't think they're doing that. To be fair, I don't think that's what their intentions are. All right. Next up, I'm Upset writes, Roman Reigns leukemia in remission. Yeah, that was really cool to see. It was I don't follow wrestling nearly as much as I did when I was a kid, but I saw the broadcast when Roman Reigns announced that his leukemia had returned and he had to step away from wrestling. And then last night, Ray was here and they put it on when they said Roman Reigns was coming back. And it was really, really nice to see him coming back, getting back to work, doing his job, getting back in the ring and announcing that his leukemia was once again in remission. So that's always a good story to hear. Let's see. Guitar Dude 153 writes, or 513 writes, Rotten Tomatoes holds way more power in the film industry than an aggregate site should hold. People think it's just gospel on how good a movie is. I've never found that, Guitar Dude. I'll be honest with you. Nobody I know, and I can only speak for the people I personally know. I don't know everybody you know or anything like that. Nobody I know thinks that way about Rotten Tomatoes at all. Most people I know look at Rotten Tomatoes the way I look at it, as a general guideline to give me some kind of a hint as to whether I may or may not like a film. That's all. Because when you gather up 300 or 400 different film critics, all who have different tastes, all from different walks of life, all who have different points of view, and 90% of them like a movie, well, it doesn't guarantee I'm going to like a movie, but it gives me a general guideline that I think there's a good chance I'll like the movie. If that many diverse, different people like a movie that much, I think there's a pretty good chance I will too. Now, it doesn't always work out that way. It's not a guarantee, but I don't look at it as that. I don't look at it as a gospel of how good a movie is, and I don't know anybody that does look at it that way. Maybe you personally know some people, but I really don't think it's that big of a problem. But that's just my point of view on it. Guitar Dude follows up with, they lost me when they held the score on the tomato meter for their stupid little show. Dude, that was one of the dumbest things any outfit like that has ever done. For those of you who don't remember, YouTube or Rotten Tomatoes tried launching their own little show thing, right? And it wasn't a bad idea. But they then leverage, Rotten Tomatoes is a great service. It builds a trust with the fans, right? You aggregate the results and you show us the results and we go and look at the results. And there's a trust there for that. But then this is hyperbole, but it's just for the sake of an illustration. What they basically did was, instead of releasing the Rotten Tomato number, they held the number hostage and said, we're going to hold it, and if you want to find out, see the reveal of what the Rotten Tomatoes meter on this movie is, you got to tune in and watch our terrible show. And it was a terrible show. It was awful. It was unwatchable. It was an interesting concept, but it was a bad show. And what made it even worse was there were these highly anticipated movies coming out, and they would go, we're not going to release the Rotten Tomatoes meter reading until we do our live show. And you got to watch our show to see the reveal of what the rate. It was underhanded. It undermined the trust between the online community and them, people who trusted their site to go to them, that you're going to show me the reviews and not hold off on revealing them unless you force me to watch your show. It was a terrible, ill-conceived idea that I can't imagine how there wasn't at least one person in the room at Rotten Tomatoes to go, this is a bad idea, and people will not like this. But they went ahead and did it anyway, and there you go. Hey, look, I like Rotten Tomatoes. I like the service they provide. That was dumb as shit, what they did. That was dumb. And I'll be honest, I hadn't thought of it, Guitar Dude, but honestly, I used to be really enthusiastic about Rotten Tomatoes. I still like it. I still like Rotten Tomatoes. But now that you bring it up again, I'm looking back and I'm realizing, my enthusiasm for Rotten Tomatoes took a hit that I don't think I've fully had recovered from. I think my enthusiasm for Rotten Tomatoes also took a hit, and that it was such a monumentally bad idea. I just cannot believe nobody in the room decided to raise their hand and mention, boss, this is a bad idea. I don't know. Maybe they're just filled with yes men over there, for all I know. All right, Riley Lopez writes, did you hear Rotten Tomatoes censored the want to see button after Captain Marvel fell to 27%? There is no longer an option to say if you are interested or not. Very odd they decided to remove it now. Oh, no, it's not odd at all, Riley. And they're not censoring anybody. They just realized that tool they had put there for fans to work organically was being manipulated. The moment, and this Captain Marvel thing wasn't the first. This has happened before and been a problem before. The moment you get groups of people trying to mobilize and encourage others to go to a site to negatively downvote something, you're gaming the system. You're manipulating the system. And that is basically, that's a hack in a way. And it's using the system in a way that was never intended for. Because look, it's not a coincidence that the number on Captain Marvel was 90%. And then within 24 hours after some of these sites try to mobilize people to go there and downvote it, it suddenly was dropped by 3/4 or something like that. That's not what these sites are for. And if you want proof that was going that, it's there were nearly quadruple the amount of votes on the Captain Marvel one than there was on Endgame. Clearly, Endgame is the movie people are more looking forward to, and yet there were almost 4 times the amount of votes in there. There was clearly manipulation of the system. And that's why I've always been telling you guys, never pay attention to IMDB fan ratings or Rotten Tomatoes fan ratings. because they're too easily manipulated. I remember when I first kind of became aware of this back in the day when The Dark Knight came out, right? And I think, you guys have to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think if I'm remembering it right, like the number one rated, user-rated movie on IMDb was The Godfather. And fans of The Dark Knight organized to mobilize people to go and downvote Godfather to try to get The Dark Knight into the number one spot. And it's like, wait a minute, IMDb lets people do that? Well, how is IMDb supposed to stop people from doing that? And that's why ever since then, that was years ago, ever since then, I've always told people IMDb fan rating systems and Rotten Tomato fan rating systems are totally unreliable and useless. Don't even bother talking about them. The only fan rating system that has any validity is CinemaScore. And the only reason it has any validity is because CinemaScore is actually physically there at movie theaters, talking to people and getting the input of people coming out of the movie theater that they can verify have actually been there, seen the movie, and can give their input. Their system can't be manipulated. Their system can't be gamed. Now, I don't always agree with the scores I see coming out of CinemaScore, but it is nonetheless the most legitimate one. Unlike IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, which can be easily manipulated and gamed and people leveraging it for their own agendas. That renders it completely useless. So what Rotten Tomatoes has done, which is a long time coming because we've seen this happen a number of times, where Rotten Tomatoes has simply done, and it doesn't fix the problem entirely, but it's at least a stop measure. They say, you know what, we've got a new policy here. Until a movie comes out, we're not going to let fans vote or comment on it one way or the other. That's a step. I think they should just get rid of the fan rating things. Let people write on their own blogs and YouTube channels what they think of it. I think they should just get rid of the fan rating stuff on Rotten Tomatoes. I think they should just get rid of the fan rating stuff on IMDb because it's completely pointless and rendered completely useless because too many people know how to organize and game the system for their own agenda. We've seen it happen multiple times. It's about time Rotten Tomatoes. I think they should just get rid of the fan ratings. I think they just should because that's not what the people who go to Rotten Tomatoes are not there for the fan ratings anyway. So just get rid of them. I mean, that's my thought at any rate. Mike Thompson writes, 2017 Emoji Movie, 2018 Best Animated Film, Sony. I actually put that up on my Instagram account. I put up on Instagram, I said, this year we spell redemption S-O-N-Y because just like a year ago, we got the Emoji Movie, which was awful. And now we get Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Not to mention, it was another good mark of redemption for Sony this year was Venom. I mean, that was a great mark of redemption for them. I had a really good time with Venom. Anyway, Dimsum05 writes, Black Panther winning its 3 awards only solidified its Best Pick nomination for me, not me, because they were minor categories. Here's the reality. Black Panther, no film has ever been nominated for Best Picture that didn't have at least one nomination in the major categories. Or it's been at least 20 or 30 years. It's been forever without at least one nomination in the major categories. Those categories being Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Director, Best Cinematography, Best Editing. Those are considered by the Academy to be the major awards, right? Those are the majors. Almost never in Academy history has a movie gotten a Best Picture nomination without at least one. Like, it's now that the Oscars are behind us, I still highly question the Black Panther nomination because it was a very important film. It was a really good film. It was not one of the 8 best films of the year. That's all subjective, just my opinion. But if you as an Academy say, well, their screenplay wasn't one of the best, and their directing wasn't one of the best, and the cinematography wasn't one of the best, and none of the performances were one of the best, then how can you possibly say a film that you say its screenplay isn't one of the best, directing wasn't one of the best, cinematography wasn't one of the best, the editing wasn't one of the best, the acting wasn't one of the best, how can you then possibly say it's a Best Picture contender? How can you possibly say that? Like if your own Academy says no nomination for director, no nomination for cinematography, no nomination for editing, no nomination for best actor or actress, no nomination for best supporting actor or supporting actress, and yet it's one of the nominees for best picture of the year. I don't know how you do that. And the fact that it won a couple of smaller awards, which I think is great, it won 3 of them, new record for a comic book movie, and I think it deserved all 3 that it won. You don't nominate a movie for best picture because it had best costumes. You don't nominate a movie for best picture because it had best costumes. That adds to the movie 100%. It adds to the movie. But yeah, remember, Suicide Squad won an Academy Award too. Does that mean it should have been nominated for best picture? Yeah, no. But whatever. I am super glad for it that it won those 3 awards, and I'm glad that Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse won its award, even though I don't think animated should even be a category that exists. You should just give the respect to animated films without creating a side prize thing like you did. But hey, comic book movies won 4 Academy Awards this year, which is a new record, and that's always a good thing. Okay, Roman Bryant writes, Elvis biopic anytime soon. I don't know. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know who owns the rights to the life story of Elvis or who has the rights. I know there have been different incarnations. One of my favorite Elvis movies is Bubba Hotep with Bruce Campbell. It's let's say they took a little bit of creative license. If you guys have not seen Bubba Hotep, I highly recommend you see Bubba Hotep. The idea of Bubba Hotep, it's fabulous. It stars Bruce Campbell from the Army of Darkness movies. Anyway, Evil Dead. Bruce Campbell plays Elvis in his 80s or something. But Elvis died. Yeah. So what the movie proposes is that Elvis was getting tired of the fame and he just wanted to get away from it all. So he switched places with a doppelganger, like the guy who looked just like him. And the Elvis that died was actually the impersonator that died. And Elvis himself continued to live a long and fruitful life. And anyway, now Elvis is living in a retirement community, a retirement home, an old age home. And only to discover that an ancient soul-sucking mummy is now stalking the old age home and feeding on residents of the old age home. And it's up to Elvis to fight the mummy. The movie is every bit as glorious as it sounds. It's called Bubba Hotep. Check it out. But as far as an actual Elvis biopic, I don't know, because I just don't know what the rights situation on it is. All right, James Bonner writes, so much politics in Hollywood, I'm just going to buy my ticket to Captain Marvel and hopefully enjoy the film. Save the drama for the movies, in my opinion. Couldn't agree more. I honestly don't know why. It's everybody with their agendas, and it's never about the movies anymore. Now it's all about people and their agendas. And it's unfortunate, but it's kind of the world we live in. But you know what? We see everything in time course correct, and this will also be a thing of course correcting. Third Man 3 writes, I've had it with these toxic YouTube channels who all spew the same message to their 50,000 subscribers. I am all for people having their voice heard, but to bash a movie before it's even, out is such a waste. Well, I mean, look, again, Third Man, to be fair, if I have no issue, and I don't think anybody should have an issue, with people who want to make videos about, I don't think that movie looks any good. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, I've done that. I do that. If I think a movie that's coming out doesn't look any good, I'll do a story on it and I'll mention that I don't think it looks any good, and I'll make a video about it and I'll post a video about why I don't think it looks any good. However, I also say, but I'm going to check my expectations at the door, go see the movie, and hopefully I'd be surprised. And quite often we are surprised, which is a really good thing. So I have no issue with anybody anywhere that just says, such and such movie looks terrible. That's what being a film fan is, man. To some of us, some films look like they'll be great, and some films look like they'll be terrible. And I don't think expressing that opinion, I think this movie looks bad. That's not being toxic. That's just being a film fan. Now, we've seen a lot of extracurricular activities going on that is definitely toxic behavior. There's certainly that as well, but just be cautious never to lump it all into under one umbrella. You know what I mean? We just gotta be careful not to do that. Okay. Third Man 3 writes, suddenly everyone is a movie expert. If you don't want to see something, then don't go see it. Why does everyone need to spread this toxicity? That's a good question, Third Man. Like, look, if there's a movie that looks really bad to me for whatever reason, I'll say it looks bad, and then I just drop it until somebody asks me about it again. But yeah, it's kind of crazy. We now live in this thing where, but like I said, hate clicks are easy clicks to get. It's the easiest thing to get hate clicks. So you'd think after somebody once makes a video about, I don't like this. Okay, you made a video about it, you expressed it, great. Now move on. But then they realize how many hate clicks they get. And they go, ooh, well, I'm going to make another one. So they make another one, just basically saying the same thing. And they go on and on. It's like at some point you go, dude, if you don't want to see the movie, then don't see the movie. You already said your piece once. Move on, talk about something else. Now, I have a number of topics that I bring up and mention, sometimes negative things that I mention a million times, but it's normally because somebody asked me about it, so I'm obliged to answer. But yeah, I mean, if you don't want to see it, express it and then move on. Once you just start going on about it every day and all you ever talk about is how stupid this is, then just don't talk about it. You already said your piece, walk away. But, you know, hate clicks are easy to get, man. Hate clicks are easy to get. Snip writes, better Gene Wilder performance, Young Frankenstein or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I think a lot more people are familiar with his work in Willy Wonka, but what I love him most is Young Frankenstein. Actually, my favorite performance of his is a movie, I believe, called Hear No Evil, See No Evil, that he did with Richard Pryor. Let me just make sure I'm getting the Gene Wilder, Hear No Evil. It might have just been called Hear No Evil. Yeah, See No Evil, Hear No Evil. It's Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. One guy is blind, one guy is deaf. And the poster of it tells you everything you need to know. The poster of it tells you everything you need to know. It's my favorite Gene Wilder. And not even everybody loves that movie. There's a lot of people who don't like that movie. But it is my favorite performance of Gene Wilder because I thought he was great at it. Anyway, Ben Hayusa writes, new Detective Pikachu is up and it looks awesome. I have heard all day that there's a new Detective Pikachu spot. I haven't watched it yet, though. I will watch it later, and I'm sure me and Rob are going to talk about it on the John Campea Show in the morning. So, yeah, keep your eye open for that. Marcus Robert Johnson writes, Campea for president and justice for Han. Well, I'll tell you what, though, Marcus. The first thing I'm going to do, if elected president, and under the current laws, I cannot be elected president because I was born Canadian, so I have a better chance of becoming Prime Minister of Canada. But if I was, they changed the Constitution and allowed it that I could become president of the United States. The very first thing I would do is issue a Congressional Medal of Honor and give it to the fictitious character Shaw, played, of course, by Jason Statham, for his heroic actions in ridding the Fast and the Furious of Han. I would give it to him. Hashtag Han had it coming. All right, there you go. Sam, happy birthday, John. I saw Black Klansmen in theaters yesterday. So powerful. Ron and Flip were so well cast. The movie is amazing. Now, I'm super happy that Green Book won Best Picture. But my first pick to win Best Picture was Black Klansman. Out of all the films that were nominated, my number one film pick was Black Klansman, but my number two was Green Book. Now, you might be saying, but John, I thought you said Quiet Place. Yeah, but out of the films that were actually nominated, unfortunately, Quiet Place wasn't nominated. Out of the films that were actually nominated, the one that I wanted to win the most was Black Klansman, but the second one I wanted to win the most was Green Book. Third would have been A Star Is Born. I wanted anything other than Roma to win, just because I didn't like Roma. But I was still convinced Roma was going to win. So when they announced Green Book, I was very happy for it. Very, very happy for Green Book. But yeah, I loved Black Klansman. I loved that movie. And quite frankly, I thought Spike Lee should have won Best Director for that. I really do. I'm not a big Spike Lee fan, but I think he should have won Best Director for that. I really do. All right. Brian Jones writes, where's the studio? Happy birthday, John. Oh, you know, it's funny. People keep asking me that. So we've explained this 1,000 times, but as you know, the studio we were in was basically falling apart. We had constantly, whenever it would rain, we had like 21 leaks in the roof. It was just a disaster. And so we decided we were moving out of that studio. Now, the stream has been in that studio for like 7 or 8 years. So as you can imagine, it's not like packing up a bedroom. Packing up a studio is a different thing. You got to deconstruct things, take things apart, blah, blah, blah. It's a long process, especially when you don't have a staff of 20 people. So it was a number of weeks to pack it all down. We've got to be out of that studio. Stream has to be out of that studio by the end of this month. And then there's the whole process of moving into the new studio, having construction crews go in there to build it out to the exact specifications, then get everything in there, rebuild everything, blah, blah. It's a long process. So we're going to be doing the John Campea Show for at least another month from here until everything gets all straightened out. So that's what's going on with that. But thanks for asking. All right, Marcus Robert Johnson writes, if UFOs are real, Trump would have tweeted it by now. I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'll take your word for it, Marcus. Jeffrey Bynes writes, best Arnold movie, Terminator, Predator, True Lies. Well, it all depends on your subjective point of view. I know a lot of people are going to say, well, you left out Conan, by the way. You left out Conan the Barbarian. But for me, it's True Lies. And not only is my favorite Arnold film, it is my all-time favorite action film, period. I love that movie. All-time favorite action film, True Lies. You had Tia Correa in there. She was great. Tom Arnold in the truly maybe the only time I thought he was good in any movie, but he was great in True Lies. And the chemistry between him and Arnold was surprisingly good in that. So I'm going to go with True Lies. All right. Jared Murphy writes, can IMDb user ratings be trusted? No. Like I said, ever since all the way, go back years and years, going back almost 10 years to when there was an organized, coordinated effort by people trying to encourage others not to just go and upvote The Dark Knight, but go and downvote The Godfather so we can make The Dark Knight the number one film. That's basically hacking the system. It's manipulating the system for an agenda. And at that point, I realized 10 years ago that IMDb user ratings are completely pointless. There's no use to them. If they can be manipulated and changed up and everything just like that so easy, then you just can't trust them. You can't even trust them for anecdotal purposes. So, no, I do not believe IMDb user ratings can be trusted at all. Gerald Quintana writes, happy birthday, John. How will you celebrate it? Well, this year, first of all, I've had a great day. My day has been awesome. I've had several significant things happen today. I will tell you guys about them when the time is appropriate. But I've had a fabulous day. More on that to come. But tonight is something me and Ann haven't done in a little while, which is just me and Ann. And I'll be honest with you, with Ann's work and with her taking her second master's degree class at USC, not her second class, like classes for her second master's degree, which has been a lot time consuming. We haven't had a lot of evenings together. And so Ann told me a few days ago, hey, for your birthday on the actual day, because we celebrate, me and my buddy Ryan have our birthdays one day apart. So a bunch of us hung out this weekend and celebrated both of our birthdays. But tonight on my actual birthday, Ann and I are just going out together just for a quiet night with the two of us alone, which is something we don't get a lot to do tonight. So she hasn't told me where she's taking me to dinner, but she said it's a surprise. So we're going somewhere for dinner. Just going to have a nice, laid back, easy night with me and Ann, who I don't get enough time with these days. So yes, and that's how I'm really looking forward to it. All right, TJ Thomas writes, just wishing you a great birthday. Thank you so much, TJ. I appreciate that. Derek Woodron writes, happy birthday, John. Hope you only have things happen today that make you smile. I've had two things in particular that have happened today that have made me smile. Again, I will share when the time is right, but I have had a very good day. Thank you for asking. Abdul, happy birthday, John. Been a fan since 2015. I realized yesterday that James McAvoy is in a TV show that was advertised by HBO's 2019 preview. Awesome. I don't know what we're talking about, Abdul. I haven't seen such a thing. Is James McAvoy got an HBO show coming out? It seems like everybody now has an HBO series or a Netflix series they're appearing in. Like, seriously, it feels like everybody's appearing in either a Netflix series, an HBO series, or an Amazon Prime series. Everybody's in a series these days. Do you remember a day when movie stars didn't appear in TV shows? That day's gone now. The medium is now completely transitional. Actors can go from TV to movies and back to TV again, like in the drop of a hat. It's a totally different era. So I'm a big fan of James McAvoy, but I don't know which the thing is you're talking about there. I'm going to have to go and look that up, though, because I'm a really big fan of his work. All right. Robert Perez writes, happy birthday, John. May the force be with you. Thank you so much, Robert. And may the force be with you also. Scott Dickens writes, wish Cooper went up drunk with, oh, that would have been priceless. I wish Bradley Cooper went up, quote unquote, drunk with Gaga during her Oscar speech. That would have been awesome. Oh my God, that would have been awesome. If after Gaga got up and started speech, if Bradley Cooper stumbled on stage pretending to be drunk and maybe pour some water down his pants to make it look like he pissed himself, that would have been full marks. It would have been full marks forever. He would have been the coolest guy forever if he had done that. That would have been really great. But full marks also for not taking away Lady Gaga's moment, because clearly that was very important to her. Jacob Leader writes, what's your most overrated film? Mine's Blade Runner. Well, if you've watched me for any period of time, Jacob, you know that is also mine. Now remember, overrated, all that means is I don't like it as much as it seems like everybody else does. That's really all overrated means. I mean, since it's all subjective, things are overrated from your point of view. So all it really means is you personally don't think a movie is as good as the general audience seems to think it is. And understanding that definition, I am with you. Blade Runner is mine. There is the biggest disparity, more than any other movie, between where the general audience thinks of the movie and what I think of the movie. And I just flat out don't like Blade Runner. I wish I did. I wish I was more cool. But I never did. All I can do is be honest about it. I wish I could lie to you about it and pretend to be cool and say, oh, no, yeah, I love Blade Runner, just like everybody else. But I have nothing with you guys if not just my honest opinion. Whether you like my opinion, whether you agree with my opinion, all I've got is the honesty of my opinion. And my opinion is I don't like Blade Runner. I would love to lie about that, but I don't. Now, I like Blade Runner 2049, but I've never liked the original Blade Runner. So to me, that's the most overrated. But again, that just means that I don't like it as much as everybody else does. Okay. Trevor Johnson writes, everyone forgets one of the greatest comic movies of all time, Dick Tracy, 7 Oscar nominations and 3 wins. I honestly didn't think Dick Tracy was all that good. But, and is it a comic book movie? Now, I could be mistaken about, obviously Dick Tracy is way before my time, but wasn't Dick Tracy more a comic strip than a comic book? I could be wrong about that. I've never looked that up. So, but you're right. That is a film we often always overlook. Again, I didn't think it was very good, but it is a film we often overlook. All right. Jace Little writes, I feel like I'm in the minority because I can separate films I like and the ones that are good. Sure, some overlap, but not all. Keep up the great work. I think a lot of people will say that there are movies they like that they probably acknowledge maybe aren't all that good. Like, for instance, me. I don't know how good Armageddon is, but I do know that I like it. I like Armageddon. What can I say? And I think we all have movies like that as well. But remember, either way, what you like and what you perceive to be good, they're both just subjective opinions anyway. They're different. They're just different shades of the same color. They're both opinion-based. They're both subjective. But I think you'd find that most film fans understand that I've got a movie I like that I don't necessarily think is all that good, but it really works for me. You know what I mean? I think a lot of film fans have that, Jace. I think it's a healthy way to approach the movies we like. All right. Mr. Hero 17 writes, do you think Lion King should add some new elements to the film or stick to the original and do it shot for shot? People complaining about the first trailer and love the second one with same footage. Yeah, I personally feel, look, they can try whatever they want to try and it's fine. A shot for shot thing can work. I think you don't do a shot for shot thing. I think you do add some different elements. I think you change up things a little bit so that it's still clearly the Lion King, but it's your own incarnation of Lion King. That's what I would do at any rate. Now, how much they do that, how much they don't, whether they do it at all, it's all up in the air. And I'm sure Jon Favreau is going to give us something great. Now, look, Jungle Book, that was very much, Jungle Book, which is also was directed by Jon Favreau, who's directing Lion King, also based on older classic material. He very much made his own movie. Jon Favreau stepped into Jungle Book and very much just made his own movie. And I don't know that there's any reason to suspect that he won't do the same. I think there's certainly going to be elements in the film regardless that will be like, we'll do this scene shot for shot from the original, but the next scene we won't. Like, I think it'll probably be a little bit of a hybrid between them. And that might be the best thing to do. We'll have to wait and see. All I know is I'm excited to see it either way, man. Either way, whichever way they go with that, I'm just excited to see it. All right. Let's see, where are we at here? Marie Seifring writes, happy birthday. I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much, Marie. I'm having a great day so far, and I hope you're having a great day too. All right. Chris Parson writes, a 3-hour Star Wars Episode 9 movie, good or bad idea? Irrelevant. It's all about the movie itself. No length of any movie is in and of itself either good or bad. It's what does that particular screenplay and story call for that will serve it best. For some movies, 2 hours is too long, and for other movies, 2 hours is too short. The original Star Wars movie was 90 minutes long, I think. Hold a second. I think it was 90 minutes long. I think, hold a second. Star Wars runtime. I believe it's 90 minutes. Or, where is it? Star Wars A New Hope. Runtime. Let's see here. Sorry, 2 hours and 5 minutes. It was 2 hours and 5 minutes. I knew it was either 90 minutes or 2 hours. Anyway, Star Wars A New Hope is 2 hours and 5 minutes. I think the original, the non-special edition one was a little bit shorter. But basically 2 hours. For some movies, that's too short. For some movies, that's too long. Personally, I very rarely feel any movie needs to be 3 hours long. If you have to make your movie 3 hours long, generally speaking, then I think you don't know how to tell a story. But then there are some movies that are 2 hours and 45 minutes long and they just feel too short. That's rare, but it does happen. So I would say bad idea, but it's impossible to say without knowing what the story is. You know, some stories call for a shorter runtime, some call for a longer runtime. Personally, I think 2 hours and 10 minutes is a perfect sweet spot for most movies. I think most comedies' perfect sweet spot is 90 to 100 minutes. But again, there are exceptions to every rule, right? Those are just general rules of thumb for me as a film fan. There are exceptions to every different scenario. But yeah, again, generally speaking, a Star Wars movie doesn't need to be 3 hours long. But it's impossible to say unless we read the screenplay and kind of know what that movie needs. Carlos Rojas writes, happy birthday, John. I hope you have a great day with friends and family. Thank you so much, Carlos. I am having a wonderful day so far, and I know the rest of my day is going to be great too. So thank you so much for your well wishes. I really appreciate that. Okay. Sean Hartman writes, Campia, maybe you're underestimating the Brie Larson thing. Remember what happened with The Last Jedi? Disney ended up changing everything after the fallout. Disney changed very little. They changed very little. And you're trying to compare, there's a difference between the quote unquote fallout of the movie and the fallout of some made up, lied about, manipulated, agenda driven controversy that comes out before the movie even comes out. Now look, The Last Jedi is a very divisive film. It's a very divisive film. Some people absolutely love it. Some people absolutely hate it. It's very divisive. And that's not good. I mean, I guess it's better than everybody hating it, but still, it's not good. That's not the situation with Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's not a divisive film. Nobody's seen it yet. For all we know, everybody's going to love it. Now, I'm sure there are people who have this deceitful, lying, twisted out of context, over-exaggerated, agenda-driven motives that are going to try to make it sound like a lot of people don't like the movie, but we'll have to wait and see. For all I know, I'm not going to like the movie. I mean, let's be honest here. I talk about how generally, like, I really like Marvel and blah, 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 but the fact of the matter is Marvel's made a number of things that I think are bags of shit. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think is a bag of shit show. Iron Fist, I think was borderline a crime against humanity. I really don't like Iron Man 2. I know everybody else loves it. I hated Jessica Jones. I think Jessica Jones was bad. I did not like Luke Cage season 2. Didn't like it at all. I mean, so as much as I like to say that, hey, I really trust Marvel, I trust what they do, and blah, 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 the fact of the matter is, even they turn out crap from time to time. And for all we know, this could be one of those crap things. Could be one of those crap things. Won't know until we see it. But I wouldn't compare the results of Last Jedi, which was a very divisive film, to something like this, which people haven't even seen the movie yet. So I wouldn't try to draw any comparisons there just yet. They may become comparable after the movie comes out. But until the movie comes out, we really can't say either way. Let's see. Iconic Comic writes, thanks for everything you guys do. You inspire our channel to get bigger every day and to keep working. Over under 45% that Thanos is still alive after Endgame. Ooh, that's way too high of a number. 45. Now, I don't think it's a guarantee that Thanos is dead at the end of Endgame. I don't think it's a guarantee, but woo, 45% that Thanos is still alive? That's way too high a number. I would put it closer to 15%. Maybe 15% chance that he's still alive at the end of Endgame. So Iconic Comic, am going to have to take well under. I'm going to take the under on 45%. Not impossible, not zero, but I got to take way under on 45%. Okay, Preston Walden writes, Tampa Bay Lightning are on pace. They are having a hell of a year, my friend. Tampa Bay Lightning are on pace to win 62 games, which has only been achieved once. Be very, very careful, though, about on pace. On pace is a dangerous game to play when you're a sports fan. It's a very dangerous game to play. I have played that game many times. Whoa, my Leafs have started well. We're on pace to do this. Yeah, on pace. And you know what? I've always been a mild, not in my top 5 favorite teams, but I've always been fascinated with the Lightning ever since the days of Vinny Lecavalier, right? And I just think they're a fun team. They're certainly playing a great brand of hockey this year, and they're doing really well. I didn't know about the on pace to win 62, but again, just be very, very careful, Preston, about playing the on pace game, because that can often lead to a lot of disappointment as a sports fan. Fat Bastard writes, John, what are the advantages of AMC A List and should I sign up? Well, AMC A List is not for everybody. There are 2 particular circumstances I would say that you should not sign up for AMC A List. Number 1, do you reasonably have an AMC theater close enough to you that you can honestly see yourself, I can go there often, no problem? Because, I had one friend of mine, it's like the closest AMC was like 20 miles away. And it's like, okay, but you may think, oh, I can make it out 20 miles, but are you going to want to do that 2 or 3 times a month? Really? Really? So think about that. Do you have a AMC theater close enough that you can realistically see yourself getting out to it enough to take advantage of it? The second thing that I would say is if you on average go to like 1 movie a month, then it may not be worth it. It may not be worth it. Now, where I live, going to one Dolby Cinema primetime screening of a movie is like a $23 ticket. So even if I just go see 1 movie a month with A-List, it's worth it to me. But a lot of people live in places where the average movie ticket's like $15 or $12 or whatever. And so if you really look at it and think, I only get out to about 1 movie a month, then honestly, A-List may not be right for you. It may not have enough value. However, if you live reasonably close enough to an AMC theater, and you think like minimum, I'll go to a movie like 2, maybe 3 times a month, then absolutely you should get it, because now you're getting all those tickets for like $20. You're saving a bunch of money. You can book your tickets online in advance. You get to get in the premium lineup for concession stands, all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I honestly think AMC A-List is the best thing ever to happen to film fans. And I cannot wait to see what Regal comes out with, because Regal's going to come out with something competitive. So let's see what Regal comes out with. All right. Your best bet writes, is Eddie Murphy done as a box office draw? Yeah, but to be fair to Eddie Murphy, I don't know that there's a lot of legit box office draw actors anymore. I mean, named actors give credibility to a movie, but these aren't the 1980s. Having a particular star in your movie doesn't guarantee X amount of box office, unless maybe you're Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Maybe. But other than that, not a lot of people do. But is Eddie Murphy a box office draw? No. But that doesn't mean he couldn't be an asset to your film. Eddie Murphy, I still think, is a very talented guy. And I think he can bring something to a movie in the right role, still today, to make himself very valuable as a member of your production. Is his name on the marquee going to automatically bring out an extra $40 million in box office? No. But there are very few people who can. But I still think he can be a valuable asset to a movie if used in the right way. So that's kind of how I see that. All right, guys, that will do it For today's installment of the companion video, we are now all caught up on all the super chats that got sent in earlier today on the John Campea Show. Don't forget, the John Campea Show returns again tomorrow with me. Robert will be back. He was out getting picture lock on a film he's working on today, so he wasn't on the John Campea Show earlier today. He will be back tomorrow. Ashley's going to be joining us as well, and I'm sure at least one of the things we're going to be talking about is this new Pikachu trailer. We'll be checking that one out for sure. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here and all the well wishes I've been getting from you guys for my birthday. I appreciate it greatly. My name's John Campea, and until our next video, bye-bye.